This story was sent in by a man named David, who swears everything you're about to hear actually happened. It's one of the creepiest sea stories I've ever come across, and whether or not you believe it, one thing's for sure. The ocean has secrets it never gives back. Back in 2014, I was working as a private deckhand for a luxury yacht company based out of Florida. It was a good gig, great money, decent hours, and I got to see parts of the world most people only dream of. But nothing could have prepared me for what we saw. Off the coast of Bermuda, that summer, we were doing a long-haul charter for a rich Canadian family husband, wife, 2 teenage kids. It was a 10-day round trip from Miami to Bermuda and back. Smooth, open water sailing, or at least that's what we thought. The crew was small, just me, our Captain Ron, a young chef named Lacey, and another deckhand named Connor, 4 crew members, 4 guests. It was the 5th day of the trip. Midway through, the water was like glass. No storms, no wind, no noise. Just silence. That was the day we saw it. It was around 3 in the afternoon when Connor radioed me from the bow. He said something strange was up ahead. I grabbed the binoculars and scanned the horizon, and sure enough, there it was. A ship. Not a boat, not a dinghy. A full-size ship drifting dead in the water. It was maybe half a mile ahead, just sitting there. No flags, no movement, no radio signal. It wasn't marked. No crew on deck. Nothing that told us where it came from. At first, I thought it might have been abandoned. Or worse, a trap. Captain Ron slowed the yacht and started circling it at a distance. That's when we noticed something that made our blood run cold. The ship looked old, like something out of the 1940 rusty hull. Wood paneling, lifeboats hanging loose. One of the masts was cracked. But there was no name on the side, no identification. And the weirdest part? There was no waterline. It was floating, but almost like it wasn't touching the ocean at all. Now, I've seen plenty of derelict boats, and I know how dangerous they can be, but curiosity got the better of us. Captain Ron decided to board it with me and Connor. We took a small tender over, while Lacey stayed with the yacht and kept the radio open. As we got closer, the air got noticeably colder. I'm not exaggerating. It dropped by at least 10 degrees. The hull was covered in sea growth and barnacles, but only on one side. The other side looked freshly scraped, like it had been lifted from dry dock yesterday. We climbed aboard through a busted ladder hanging over the side. The deck creaked under our boots. It was eerily quiet, not even the sound of seagulls, and right away something felt off. There were shoes scattered on the deck. Not pairs, just single shoes, a child's sandal, a man's loafer, a woman's heel. All weathered, but not water damaged. Connor found an old radio mounted near the bridge, but it wasn't working. There was no power, no hum, no vibrations. The ship felt dead. We went below deck, and that's when the smell hit us. The lower levels were pitch black. We had flashlights, but the beams barely cut through the air. It was thick, damp, almost oily. Every hallway looked the same, rusted metal walls, peeling paint. Names scratched into the doors. Names like Edith or George, handwritten, like a child did it with a nail. We started opening rooms. Bunk beds, rotting furniture. A kitchen with plates still on the table. One room had dozens of Polaroid photos pinned to the wall, all of different people, none smiling. In the engine room, we found something that made Captain Ron freeze. There was no engine, just an empty hollow space, like it had never had one to begin with. Then Connor pointed to a corner. Something was carved into the steel wall. It said, "We never left." We decided to leave, now, No more exploring. But the way out wasn't how we remembered. The stairwell back to the deck was gone. Just sealed metal, like it had never existed. We ran from room to room, trying to retrace our steps, but the layout had changed. Walls were in different places, doors were gone. Some were welded shut. I started banging on the metal, yelling for help. Eventually, we heard Lacey's voice over the radio, but she couldn't hear us. Then we heard footsteps. Not ours. Slow, heavy footsteps coming from down the hall, and a dragging sound, like something metal scraping behind them. We turned and saw a figure standing in the darkness. Couldn't make out a face, just a silhouette of a man. Too tall, shoulders too wide. Connor whispered, "That's not a person." And then the lights came on, just for a second. And we saw them. There were people standing in the hallways, in every hallway, outside every room, motionless. Dozens of them. Men, women, children, all in outdated clothes. Blank eyes dot some missing limbs. Others looked burned or frozen dot. They weren't moving, but they were watching us. Then the lights cut out again. Captain Ron screamed, "Run!" We sprinted toward where we thought the stairs had been. Every step sounded like it echoed forever. We found a rusted ladder leading up to a loose panel. We crawled through it one at a time, shoving each other up. And when we emerged, we were on the deck again. But the shoes were gone. The doorways were sealed. The whole ship was silent. Still. We dove off the side into the ocean and swam back to the tender. When we looked back, the ship was already drifting away. We got back to the yacht soaked, shaking, barely able to speak. Lacey said we had only been gone 10 minutes. We were convinced it had been an hour, maybe more. We tried calling the Coast Guard. No one answered. Later that night, we looked again. The ship was gone. The next morning, we checked the charts. No ship had been logged in that area, no radar hit, no satellite record. It was like it never existed. When we got back to Miami, we filed an incident report. Nobody believed us. Said it was heat stroke, hallucination, a ghost story. But a few weeks later, Connor quit sailing. Ron took a job working landside. And me? I still dream about that ship. Sometimes I see those people in my dreams, just standing, watching, waiting.